Hey friends, today's lesson is for my beginner buddies out there, or maybe you're an advanced player that's never learned what notes you're playing on guitar. Say it isn't so.
Shame on you.
So I've been teaching for 30 some years now, I've said before, and I get students everywhere from beginners who've never played to guys that have been playing a while and want to learn how to do more advanced things or just kind of break out of a rut. And I will run into people that have played quite a bit and don't know what notes they're playing except for maybe in a couple little spots on the guitar. And when you're first starting, of course, you don't know anything about what notes you're playing. And so I'm here to show you how to find those notes. And also I'm going to teach you a little trick on how to get to the notes faster once you've learned just a couple strings. So it's a bit of a shortcut, I guess you could say. This lesson assumes that you're using standard tuning, which is on a 6-string guitar. You start with a high string and count your way down to the low string, and it's E, B, G, D, A, E. If you want to give yourself a little memory trick to use, you can do every boy gets donuts and eclairs and diabetes, apparently. Now I'm going to put a chart of notes down here so you can see what all the notes are that you're working with, and you'll notice that I have notes that have like a sharp or a flat on top of each other, so you'll have C sharp or D flat. And getting into why that is a different lesson. It has to do with standard notation and the way music is written. But for now, you just really need to know that like a C sharp and a D flat, if the notes are on top of each other on the little thing I gave you, they're the same note. If you're counting up, it's C, C sharp, D, or counting down, D, D flat, C. And when you use either has to do with, again, standard notation, but they're interchangeable when you're speaking with someone. And mentioning that when you're speaking with someone, that's the point of learning what notes you're playing. I know it's, like almost 20 years into the 21st century and, actually interacting with people, not just talking to somebody on the other side of a screen might be a little bit weird. But, you're going to play in a band or you're going to jam with other people. You have to be able to communicate what notes you're playing as you're writing a song. The guy's saying, I go from a B to a G to a D, whatever the case may be. You don't want to have to sit there looking at if you're playing with a bass player, like what fret are you playing? If he tells you the name of the notes, you should be able to find them and play chords and communicate more efficiently. So that said, I've showed you the notes. Let's talk about quickly the difference between a half step and a whole step. A half step is just one note. Seems a little counterintuitive, but it's based on the keyboard because with the keyboard, you have the white keys and the black keys, and going from one white key to the next white key is a whole step, and that little black key in between is the half step. So as I count my way up, and you'll notice I did the chart from E, not from A, and that's just because as a guitar player, we start with a low E string first. And you go from E, and one fret is a half step, not a whole step. So you go E to F, and then another half step to F sharp, moving along that chart. You'll notice also that there is no E sharp, and there is no B sharp. So if you want to make up a stupid little thing, there ain't be no sharps, B, E. B and E are the two notes with no sharps, and why that is a whole separate theory lesson on history, or you can just think that some old dude long ago decided to give people a headache when they were learning music. I don't know. But anyway, no B sharp, no E sharp, which means no C flat, no F flat. And we're going to use the chart and we're just going to count up. So you have E and then a half step. The first fret is an F, half step along the chart, F sharp, G, G sharp, A on the 5th fret. And as you go all the way up, you end up at the 12th fret and you start over with E again. And that's why that fret usually has 2 dots when you're looking at a guitar. So you can think of it as the large guitar is here, the first 11 frets, the open to the 11th, and then 12th. On this guitar, we have 24 frets, so the 23rd fret would be the small guitar. Then the second octave starts over there with 2 dots again on the 24th. So now as you're learning these, you don't want to have to always count your way all the way up. That's kind of what the dots help you with on the guitar, the fret markers. The first thing you want to do is get familiar with which note is at the first dot. So E, F, F sharp, G. Just get it down that it's a G. Second dot's an A. Third dot's a B. And you start to be able to find the notes by filling in the gaps in between the dots. And that's kind of how you do it in the early stages of your playing. And you're going to notice now that if you've been playing chords for a while, or maybe again if you're just beginning, I'm going to tell you that whatever note that is in the low E string is also your power chord. So if it's a G note there, G power chord, A power chord. And the same thing works on the A string, on the 5th string. So we start with A sharp, B, C. So that 3rd fret, the first dot, if you play the power chord, that's a C chord. And then up to C sharp, D. That's a D chord. So the trick now, the thing that you can do to learn how to do all this faster and find your way, or find the notes on all the strings, is that there's a little string skipping trick that you can do, an octave trick. So I'll take the 5th fret E string, which is the A, 2nd dot. And if I want to know what the next A is going up the strings, I will skip a string and jump 2 frets. So I go from the 6th string, skip the 5th, go to the 4th, the D string, and go up 2 frets. And that's the octave A. So if you know this A, you then also know this A. And then from there, you can do it again. Skip a string, so you go from the 4th to the 3rd to the 2nd, but now you go up 3 frets, and there's the next octave A. So you have A, skip a string, 2 frets, A, skip a string, 3 frets, A. Also works backwards. If you're playing a lead and you want to know what note that is, you skip a string, go down 3 frets, skip a string, go down 2 frets, and you have what you need. The same trick works starting on the A string. So if I play that 2nd dot on the A string, the 5th fret is a D, I can skip a string, skip the 4th, go to the 3rd, go up 2 frets, so I got D, D, and then I can do it again here. I go from this note on the 3rd string, skip the 2nd string, go to the 1st string, up 2 frets, D, D. So that's kind of a shortcut. And what you can do then is just really learn the low E string and the low A string, and which is kind of what you're using for chords anyway, so it's the most common thing to learn, those 2 strings, and you can continually use them as a shortcut to find the notes on the higher strings, and eventually after doing it for a long time you won't need to do that mental trick anymore. You'll just start to know what the notes are on the guitar, and again the dots will be kind of like your reference points and you'll fill in the gaps in between. Now if you're really hardcore about it, what I've done as an exercise for my students when they really want to know what they're doing is I will put on a metronome or a beat and I will call out a string and a note, and they have within 1 measure or within half a measure or a quarter note to find the note, and you can drill yourself if you're that much of a guitar geek and you really want to know it, or have somebody else drill you.
We're just done with phrasing, right? That's not a thing anymore.
And that will really help you learn the notes more quickly and not have to count your way in your head or use the trick. But either way, the information is going to kind of sink in. It's just a matter of how fast you want to get there and how thoroughly you want to know the instrument. So as always, guys, I hope you find this helpful. If you have any other beginner tips that you want to learn or things you want to know about or further explanation, please leave comments. I always love to hear from everyone. And until next time, keep making great music. Hey friends, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. It makes the whole world better.